Hello, hello. I think I'm going to start, okay, and then everybody will come and they will join as we go along. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to the launch webinar for the final videos produced with our Global Action Community Engagement Grant, Racism, Past and Present Through a New Lens, the first of 3 global actions under our global workshop, under our global summit, Building Global Capacity for Inclusive Democracies, for our 2021 program at the International Coalition of Sites of Conscience. My name, for those of you who don't know me, is Gegê Leme Joseph. I am the Senior Program Manager for Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean for the coalition. And before we get started, let's just go over a few technical aspects of today to make sure everyone follows the workshop smoothly. So first of all, the meeting is being translated into Arabic, English, French, and Spanish. You can choose your language at the bottom of the screen. So let's all take 2 minutes to do so. And if you have any questions, please make sure that you send a private message to tech support, okay? You should be hopefully able to connect to the language of your choice. Second, it's always better for more productive, for it to be more engaging and interactive. If everybody please rename themselves in Zoom and include your name and your organization. Also, please remember to keep yourself muted when you're not speaking. If you're not sharing our screen, we encourage you to use speaker view so you can engage with the speakers most effectively and see them in a bigger size on your screen. And if your connection is bad, we also welcome you to turn off your video. Usually helps a lot. If you're having problems during the meeting, please reach out to Camila and Yanzagano Bravo through a private chat. She's our tech help during today's session. Please feel free to use our chat box to make comments, remarks, or ask questions. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the day. So please use the chat box as needed. Okay. We also are always active on our social media platforms, as you all know, and we would like to amplify the voices of those speaking during our meetings and participating. So if you choose to do the same, please just make sure to tag us on and use our handles listed here. And if you do not wish to be named or shown in our social media platforms, also please let us know through tech post in the chat box. So for those of you joining these meetings or watching these meetings for the first time, just to frame today's session, all these networking and capacity building opportunities that we promote take place under the umbrella of the International Coalition of Sites of Conscience, which is the only global network working to activate the power of historic sites, museums, and memory initiatives as agents of social change. Founded in 1999 by 9 members in 7 countries, the coalition is now constituted, I'm sorry, we have a member trying to call me, constituted by over 300 members in 65 countries, from Ellis Island in New York City to Argentina, and to sites that remember and learn from the transatlantic slave trade in West Africa. As a network, we support our members in becoming sites of conscience through financial and technical support, networking, joint programs, and training workshops, and grants like with projects like the one we're presenting today. So this year, most of our programmatic work as sites of conscience has been centered on tackling discrimination. Whether we are talking about discrimination based on race, ethnicity, religious, or faith-based beliefs. To that end, we have organized 3 global workshops aiming to provide a space for a critical analysis of the root causes of today's discrimination and violence. And we also offer technical and financial support to pilot community projects to turn the knowledge and skills learned during the workshops into action and generate projects such as the one we are launching today. Racism and discrimination are chains that shackle people's lives, often from birth to grave, and they define and limit democracies that harbor them. From Kenya to Brazil, Tunisia, and the Philippines, sites of conscience are confronting discrimination against indigenous and racial and ethnic minorities by creating open narratives of past and present struggles for justice, to foster new understandings and the power balance and memory as a framework. Sites of conscience have an opportunity to help communities explore the root causes of discrimination by highlighting the historic systems that have perpetuated rather than eradicated inequality, ultimately sparking collective engagement in shaping a more just society. So to that end, between May 25 and 27 of 2021, we held the workshop, Reckoning with Systemic Racism, and examined the history of systemic racism, drawing attention to its impact on people's lives and its effect on democracies in which they live. Network members gathered to develop new skills in identifying and exposing systemic discrimination and racism, and in storytelling to personalize and make accessible experiences of marginalization to increase understanding among disparate racial and ethnic groups. The projects we now present are the results of these discussions. 6 selected sites of conscience designed and implemented video engagement projects to capture and share the stories of indigenous, racial, and ethnic minorities. These community engagement grants collectively entitled Racism Past and Present Through a New Lens, aim to correct the fact that these vital stories are rarely shared in mainstream settings. This lack of access contributes to a lack of understanding that drives racism and xenophobia, preventing communities from uniting to work towards long-lasting peace and democracy. The video engagement projects are designed to raise awareness about local historic inequalities that had led to contemporary systemic racism and increase understanding of where the false and dangerous narratives about racial and ethnic groups originated. Each selected member created a short 5 to 9 minute video featuring site-based stories of Afro-descendant communities and indigenous people. These videos shed light on narratives ignored by governments and mainstream media, and aim to create a visual panorama of voices that pay tribute to and preserve the stories of those often overlooked by society. So with that hope in mind, that we would like to now show the videos that were produced by our members. And I'm going to start with our member for Pour la Memoire Vigilante in Rwanda. The title of the video is Cessez de me discriminer in French. And it aims to bring to the public's attention the discrimination against refugees and immigrants in Rwanda through theatrical stories performed and recorded on video. The video will be published on social media to allow many people to view it, and this project aims to inform the national and international population about the discrimination against refugees and immigrants to help them integrate into host communities. So important to explain that this project was developed in 2 formats. First, there are 9 short films, each one focusing on one aspect of discrimination, and together they form a 45-minute long video. What we are seeing today is a summary video, which is a short format of the video. So
JJ, I don't know if we're supposed to be listening to something.
Oh, yes.
Because we're not. Yeah. There's no sound from the videos.
Wow, that is a big problem because I have sound on my side, so I don't know.
Can you go to the share screen and then make sure that you also have activated the share sound option?
Okay, So let's stop share. Okay, where can you guide me, Cami?
Yeah, you can just go back
Share
to share
sound.
screen
Okay.
and share
So
sound.
that's the problem. Perfect.
It should be working now.
Yeah. Sorry about that, everyone. Uh-oh. Okay. So that, I don't know why it's not loading. Yeah.
Maybe we can try turning your camera off.
Can you
for
see
the videos?
Can you see? Can you see it now?
No.
And now?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay. Can you hear?
Yeah, working now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maman, je vais aller à la toilette. S'il vous plaît, maman. Aide-moi, je vais aller à la toilette. S'il vous plaît, maman.
Tu m'agaces, Zaina.
Aide-moi, maman.
Chaque fois aller à la toilette, je t'ai dit de ne pas sortir.
S'il vous plaît, maman.
Et voilà que tu me déranges. Viens,
Merci, maman.
je t'accompagne.
Merci. Maman, moi aussi je vais aller à l'école.
Mais tu dis,
Oui.
toi, aller à l'école, tu n'as pas honte.
Oui.
Je ne veux pas que mes amis sachent que j'ai une soeur handicapée. Allez, dans la maison, c'est ta place. Au revoir,
Au
maman.
revoir, maman.
Au revoir, Djibril. Tiens, Djibril, prends ton récit et va à l'école.
Merci, maman.
Et toi, Aminata, retourne à la maison.
Mais non.
Enlève tes uniformes et fais vite. Tu vas m'aider à faire les travaux ménagers.
Non, maman. Qu'as-tu fait, maman? Non. Maman. Vu que tu ne me paieras pas les études,
Tu sais, ma chère, ton école est ici.
Maintenant, c'est ma soeur. Tu ne veux pas que tes filles évoluent, maman?
mais que faire? Je dois trouver une solution.
Oui.
Bonjour à tous. Bonjour. Qui es-tu? C'est Aminata. Je cherche du travail.
Du travail pour une si jolie petite fille. Tu viens d'où? Et qui sont tes parents?
Mon père est mort. Ma mère ne travaille pas. Nous sommes réfugiés au camp ciel bleu. Je cherche du travail pour aider ma famille.
Tu tombes bien, mon domestique vient juste de me lâcher. Tu peux commencer directement.
Oui. Madame, combien est-ce que vous allez me payer?
Si tu étais sur falaise, je te donnerais entre 30 et 40 000. Mais pour toi, je vais te donner 10 000 francs.
D'accord, madame. D'accord. Mais vous allez m'ajouter, je suis sûre. Je sais tout faire.
On verra.
Merci, madame.
Oh là 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 là. Que fais-tu, Aminata? Je ne veux pas d'être chabab dans ma maison. Tu m'entends? Tu dois choisir entre ta religion ou ton travail. Aminata,
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a, chérie?
je veux il faut qu'elle vienne fermer la porte. Je vais partir au marché.
Elle est occupée. Et tu ne veux pas que je t'accompagne?
Ok, accompagne-moi.
Bye, chérie.
Au revoir.
Ok, merci. J'ai envie de coucher avec toi. Tu viens?
Non, je ne veux pas faire ça. Non, moi je suis vierge. Sors, s'il vous plaît. Sors, monsieur.
Tu acceptes ou je te tue?
Tu viens ici.
Tue-moi, oui, d'accord,
Ok.
tue-moi.
Enlève tout ça.
Non,
Il faut que tu t'exécutes ou je te tue.
non, monsieur.
Couche-toi.
Et surtout ce monstre d'Ombati qui ne veut pas reconnaître son enfant. Mais donne-moi mon argent ou j'appelle la police.
Quelle police? La police pour les réfugiés, c'est au ciel bleu. Vas-y, pars.
S'il vous plaît, madame. Aidez-nous, madame. J'ai beaucoup de contractions.
Ta carte d'identité, madame.
Maman,
Ici, c'est le secteur public. Le gouvernement ne fait pas pour les réfugiés. C'est la loi.
Un passeport alors.
J'ai pas de passeport. Je suis réfugié.
Attendez ici. Je vais demander si les réfugiés ont le
monsieur.
droit de participer à
Oui.
l'exposition.
Allah, fais que mes produits soient écoulés aujourd'hui. Ma mère sera contente.
Sois à
C'est
l'aise.
vrai, mon frère?
Sois à l'aise, vraiment, tu as des beaux produits.
Désolé madame. Non seulement vous êtes réfugié, mais aussi vous êtes handicapé. Ici l'exposition c'est pour les solfalais et les autres ayants droit.
Excusez vraiment.
Vous allez devoir attendre l'expo pour les réfugiés.
Bonjour. Bonjour. C'est Djibril. Je viens pour passer l'interview. J'ai reçu l'appel hier.
C'est Djibril Gucci.
Oui.
Ok, prenez place.
Merci.
Ok, t'as un permis de conduire,
Oui, Jeanne.
mais je ne vois pas votre pièce d'identité, monsieur. Il faut me les amener demain pour compléter votre dossier.
Jeanne est ici dans mon portefeuille.
Il ne faut rien. C'est quoi ça? Mais ici, il n'y a pas de la place pour les réfugiés.
Et pitié, monsieur, et pitié. Vous ne pouvez pas faire ça.
Sortez de moi. Fais vite, sortez.
Tu aurais fait quelque chose pour nous?
bien sûr, maman, oui. Tu sais, j'ai parlé aux médias. Maintenant, l'affaire est connue de tous. Et
Tu aurais eu un mari riche qui nous fera vivre?
mais non, maman, ce n'est pas ça, maman. Non. Mais tu sais, je vais faire la campagne de sensibilisation dans tout le pays sur le respect des droits humains. Tu vois? Et puis ce n'est pas tout. Tu sais que le ministre de l'Éducation a déjà signé l'ordonnance que toutes les filles et mères vont retourner à l'école après le sévrage.
Toi y compris?
Oui, maman.
Oh, Dieu merci. Et quant à nous, les handicapés?
Mais c'est un long projet pour vous. Dans toutes les provinces du pays, il y aura des centres d'handicapés. Et ils vont étudier aussi. Et toutes les charges seront payées par le gouvernement.
Wow.
Oui,
Ma sœur, je vois que tu es devenue une leader. Dis-moi, est-ce que ma bourse sera débloquée?
mais tous les enfants du pays seront traités de la même manière.
Wow.
Sans distinction de race ni de statut social. Tu t'imagines?
Très bien. C'est génial.
On est heureux.
Félicitations, ma fille. Félicitations, mon
Oui.
fils.
Vouloir, c'est pouvoir. Ensemble, crions, cessez de nous discriminer.
All right. I will pass on to the next video shortly. I'll just describe before I move on to the next screen. Next member is Hopelantern from Rwanda. Their video, The Untold Stories of the Banyamulenge, aims to shed light on violent and racial divisions, genocidal and ethnic cleansing killings that have been perpetrated against the Banyamulenge population for decades in the Eastern Congo, despite their appeal for justice. It shows how the Banyamulenge continues to be overlooked by society. To the untold stories of the Banyamulenge short documentary film, Hopelantern wants to raise awareness about the injustices we are facing the captivating stories of victims and survivors of these crimes against humanity. So we'll have a short Q&A at the end. First, let's watch them all.
My name is Pris Ndatabai, and I'm 29 years old. If you to ask me what is justice, I don't know. I feel like it was defined by those who have good justice systems for themselves. But I can't define it because I've never experienced it. We the Banyamulenge people don't know what justice is. Growing up, I wanted to be a doctor. But being a Munyamulenge and growing up in the South Kivu plateaus of Congo, you grow up with a sense of rejection and dealing with constant racial attacks. My father owned a large number of cattle. My mother was a hardworking housewife. I don't remember living in lack of anything. We always drank milk, and quite often we ate meat. I have an elder brother called Faustin, and our last born girl called Clemens. We were a happy family that was full of gratitude. Until one night, when we heard loud cries in our neighborhood and bullets piercing through our house. Looking through the window, our neighbors were running out of their houses with whatever they could carry. Sadly, a bullet caught my father in the chest as he was opening the door to help us escape. My mom hugged his lifeless body while sobbing for help. I held Clemens tight in pain, while Faustin kept pleading with us to move out. We hurried past my father's body, and that's the last time I saw him. We joined the crowd that was running in different directions. We didn't know where we were headed to, but running felt like the right thing to do at that time. We ended up in a thick forest miles away from our village. It was around 2 a.m. in the morning. I was carrying Clemens on my back, while my mom held Dad's briefcase. It was at this point that we realized my big brother Faustin, who was carrying a suitcase many meters behind us, was nowhere to be found. We called out his name, pushing people aside, but couldn't find him. In tears, we sat by a fireplace all night waiting to see Faustin, but Faustin never came back. That's the last day I saw my brother and my mother's beloved son. Through a lot of challenges, we trekked through forests, villages, towns for months before we arrived in Gatumba camp, which is located at the borders of Congo and Burundi. I was amazed at the big green tents. This seemed like a secure place. As we entered into the camp, we all felt a sense of peace. The army kept patrolling in and around the camp. People on the other side were collecting food from a distribution point. We lived in this camp for 2 weeks. I missed my family home. I couldn't imagine living there again without my father and brother. Every day I thought about my school and friends, wondering what they were up to and if they were fine. On the night of August 13, 2004, a group of armed militia attacked Gatumba camp. They shot at us and burnt our tents. The shock of this sudden attack gave my mom a heart attack. As people ran out of the tents, my mother never woke up. I tried to wake her up, but it was in vain. The fire was fast approaching, and the smoke was too much that I couldn't see anymore. A stranger carried me and my young sister out, and that's all I could remember. It's now 17 years. 17 years since I lost my home, my father, brother, and mother. I took on the responsibility of looking after my young sister, and that meant sacrificing my own education. You ask me about justice. I don't know what it is. Do people like me ever experience justice?
Okay, our next video is from Justice Access Point in Uganda. The video is named Countering Racial Tensions and Discrimination in Mbale City Through Dialogue and Communication. It targets the local indigenous and Afro-Asian communities in Mbale City as a case of Ugandan towns with a large Afro-Asian and local community, and also it targets the city authority and CSOs working on issues of human rights, peace building, and diversity management. The project addresses the intermittent racial tensions between the indigenous communities and the Afro-Asians in Mbale City with the view of documenting and facilitating interracial dialogue.
Mbale City is the major commercial hub in Mount Elgon region in Uganda. It's rich in economic activities and culture, and many local ethnic groups and people of foreign descent form the fabric of this city. Beneath this layer lies unease.
Amanya gange nze Mzili Salima, Uganda twajjadda ndi citizen wa Uganda olw'okuba bajjajja bange bonna azaala taata Musoga, azaala maama Muganda.
Generations of Afro-Asians are many, and so are their experiences, as the story of Zanubia Namutamba and Samia Sheikh relate.
Namutamba Zanubia is my name. I reside here in Mbale. I've been here for a very long time in Mbale, and I'm a Ugandan. Like you see the way I look like, there are so many challenges. They don't still appreciate me and say that I'm a Ugandan. They always discriminate in case of anything. So it is very hard to tell people that I'm a Ugandan. When I just joined politics, because I didn't resemble them, it affected me so much, and actually I didn't go through. I can tell you, I have also an experience. Just when we had that main market, the central market built up, the market vendors said that we don't want to see all Indians or Asians or what brown people in this market.
My name is Samia Sheikh. I live in Mbale. We are Arabs, and the Arabs who came from Yemen and settled in Uganda. We really get discriminated. It's one of the reasons I'm even jobless up to now. I've tried to apply like in different organizations for a job. They call you out for a panel, you go very well, but even the questions they ask you, you only say that there is no any favor for you at all. I'm a graduate, but if I remember those times when we used to go to school, each time when it comes to maybe school fees, payment or what, we were always spotted out differently and they are handled in a different way compared to others. And at the end of everything, you're totally left aside because of your race.
The instances of unease and tensions sometimes deny the pillars of strength that have held this community together. Talking to each other, respect and eating together at festive moments diminishes racial tensions.
Tetusosola ddiini, tetusosola tetusosola oba kala oba kubanga tulina kala nnyingi. Tulina kala lukundi kika kingi nnyo ffe. Kale tetusosola buli omu ajja abeera muntu waffe.
Unease undoubtedly exists between the indigenous and the Afro-Asians, and this is likely to be compounded by tensions between the indigenous people and the foreign Asians. The Asians investor in Mbale City do not make the situation any easier.
Factories zikoleddwa zonna bajja n'abantu baabwe. kati ebintu bibakola mu factory byonna babiwa abantu baabwe ne babitambuza okuva ddala mu mufu wano okutuguza ne batambuza ne bagenda ne mu byalo. Twesanga nti ne Uganda katugende mu factory naffe tugule mu factory. Abaabwe bo bajja ku bbeeyi ya factory yennyini ne bagenda mu byalo ne batunda mu bbeeyi ya factory. Abakozi abakolera abasajja abayindi abo ojja nosanga nga bali kukaaba ensimbi ze babawa tezijjamu babaga nti mujja kufuna na kyamisana kwega omukozi abeerawo nga kwega malinga kalogoyi tafuna musaala abafuna omusaala ne tegumala wafuna ekizibu ng'okusaalibwako omukono factory emusazeeko omukono okumujjanjaba lutalo tebamujjanjaba. Nkaaba gavumenti yange okulaba nti etoola taxi holiday ya myaka 10 ne bampesita fwe tetufunako kachansi ako.
I started my business in 1994 when in Eastern region the medicine is hardly to get and very expensive, and we started with factory price here in Bale, Eastern and Northern, and here the price was 15,000 per 1 jerrycan of paracetamol, and I was giving that time 6,350. So the people, they're getting a lot of profit margin. They say these are Indian, is just taking a fake medicine to us. The National Drug Authority 92 to close my shop, then took check up those samples.
Racial tensions in Mbale City is a matter that should be controlled and addressed by both state and non-state actors.
ASP Taitika Rogers, Assistant Superintendent of Police, and the spokesperson of Uganda Police in Elgon region. Yes, the Asian community, we have them in big numbers in Mbale City, and these individuals, they are engaged in different categories of business. You talk about the pharmacy, they are in supermarket services. We are intensifying our kind of community policing that is sensitizing these two parties so that they can live in harmony.
The situation in Mbale City lays bare 3 important issues. On one hand, the issue of statelessness, and then racial discrimination, and thirdly, racial tension. There is an important normative framework for addressing these problems. For example, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, provides for a right to nationality. And then our Constitution, the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Article 21, equally provides for non-discrimination on the basis of ethnic background, gender, and other considerations. Uganda has committed to address the question of statelessness under the auspices of the Global Action Plan. And as such, we encourage all stakeholders to join in with the state to ensure that this problem is addressed. And we encourage that dialogues to be organized to mitigate the tension that exists while raising to the occasion to address the issue of statelessness.
Okay, the next video is from OADDE, Guinea. The video is, the name in French is Jeune Ambassadeur pour la déconstruction des consciences racistes et ethnocentriques à Khatoma. It tackles how this community is affected by the effects of ethnocentrism in the country today, and especially the youth, a real threat to the country's democracy. Educational talks were carried out with the Ratoma youth to change their mentality. Then a script was developed, and the short film was shot with the participation of these students as actors. This project has influenced more than 200 youths who have become aware of their role in the fight against ethnocentrism. The project was also broadcasted on national television in Guinea, and the participants were invited to talk about it during the morning news program.
le DG.
Bonjour.
S'il vous plaît, on a besoin de votre signature sur ces documents-là.
Ah, ça tombe bien. Hier, j'ai reçu un financement et il faut lancer un appel d'offres sur notre page Facebook. Et attention, ne recrute que des nôtres. Tu sais que les autres sont contre le régime d'aujourd'hui. Ok, vous pouvez disposer.
Copine, tu vois l'importance de l'Internet de nos jours? À peine on a lancé un appel d'offres sur cette page. Regarde.
Mais quelle opportunité!
On n'est pas raté.
Heureusement pour moi, d'après les informations d'ici, j'ai tous mes dossiers et toi?
Les dossiers là sont devenus un passeport pour moi.
D'accord, t'as même pas sur ça. Allons là-bas.
Bonjour madame.
Bonjour madame.
Bonjour, vous allez bien?
En fait, je suis là pour postuler.
Ok, les documents s'il vous plaît.
Tenez.
C'est Sona Cissé?
Oui, c'est Sona Cissé.
Je vois que vous êtes malinqué.
Mais bien sûr.
Là, vous n'avez pas à vous en faire, hein. Considérez comme c'est déjà fait.
Merci beaucoup madame.
Ok, veuillez vous rasseoir de l'autre côté.
Bonjour madame.
Bonjour, c'est pas vous d'abord, c'est la dame là. Bonjour madame. C'est Fatoumata Diallo, la mère Diallo, le père Diallo. Il y a trop de Diallo ici. Hein. Madame, je suis désolée, mais il y a trop d'insuffisance dans votre document et de toutes les façons, il n'y a plus de place dans notre entreprise. Vraiment, nous sommes désolés.
Waouh! La dame là, elle me fait rire.
J'ai travaillé tant d'années avec les dossiers là. Elle vient de me dire que mes dossiers sont insuffisants.
Wallahi, mais madame, tu as une yard. Copine, il y a quoi? Mais pourquoi tu as l'air triste?
La dame me dit que mes dossiers sont insuffisants.
Ah bon?
Ce qui m'a beaucoup étonnée, elle a insisté beaucoup sur le nom Diallo.
Et pourtant, moi, on m'a recruté.
Ah bon?
Mais bien sûr.
Toi, ton nom c'est quoi?
C'est Cissé Sona.
Et toi? Fatoumata Diallo.
Et toi alors?
Moi, il y a des parties qui manquent dans mon dossier là. Je vais aller régler ça. Au revoir.
D'accord.
Non mais qui est bête? Moi comme ça, je vais perdre mon emploi à cause des problèmes de ce genre. Heureusement que j'ai 2 identités à la maison. Je vais aller prendre mon autre papier puis c'est fini.
Bonjour, madame l'inspectrice.
Bonjour, monsieur le DG.
Vous avez remarqué que notre entreprise a fait partie des meilleures. Hein?
Je dois te signaler un problème. Oui, je vous écoute. D'après toutes mes vérifications, j'ai constaté qu'il y a un dossier qui a été falsifié.
Non, c'est impossible. Comment elle peut falsifier ces dossiers pour intégrer notre entreprise? Madame Kaba, mademoiselle Doussou, s'il vous plaît, venez. Comment vous pouvez falsifier vos dossiers pour intégrer notre entreprise? Où étiez-vous en ce moment?
Désolée monsieur, mais j'étais vraiment obligée parce que dès que j'ai mis pied dans cette entreprise, j'ai remarqué à travers un petit scénario qui s'est déroulé sous mes yeux que vous ne recrutez seulement que des personnes de la même ethnie que vous. Chose qui n'est vraiment pas normale dans ce pays où il y a tellement de jeunes au chômage. Et si vous, les leaders de ce pays, vous agissez de la sorte en cultivant un esprit ethnocentrique, ce n'est vraiment pas une bonne chose pour le développement du pays.
Je pense, d'une part, vous avez raison. Merci d'avoir déconstruit cette pensée ethnocentrique de nos têtes.
Merci, monsieur le DG, pour la prise de conscience. C'est ce qui est bon pour notre pays, la Guinée.
Merci beaucoup.
Et vous, mademoiselle, ne falsifiez jamais vos dossiers, quelles que soient les raisons.
Merci beaucoup aussi, mademoiselle Doussou. Merci pour votre franchise. Notre pays, la Guinée, a besoin de personnes comme vous pour sa bonne marche. Et demain, vous venez avec vos propres dossiers. Et madame Kaba, vous rappelez la fille Fatoumata Diallo pour qu'elle puisse commencer le travail dès demain.
Waouh, mais vous avez vraiment été rapide, hein, mademoiselle?
Mais bien sûr, j'avais vraiment besoin de ce boulot.
Ma Guinée, un pays situé à l'ouest de l'Afrique, contient 4 régions naturelles, belles par sa diversité ethnique et culturelle. Pourquoi ne laissons-nous donc diviser les uns les autres par des problèmes qui ne devraient même pas avoir leur place au sein de notre chère patrie? Pourquoi? Nos ancêtres nous ont laissé cette terre comme héritage, afin que nous la rendions prospère en unissant nos forces. Mon cœur saigne de douleur, de mes yeux coulent des larmes qui anéantissent mon être. Mes frères sont en train de se diviser, s'éloigner, se haïr. Chers frères et sœurs, Guinéens et Guinéennes, mettons de côté nos différences, allions nos connaissances et faisons de la Guinée un pays de paix.
Mayoto fene, mbabe, nge, ntara, magine, marame. Misema wonna wombore ra nyaaru fe giru fema. Wonna wombore gere fe giru fema. Wontan la Guinée de wontan la monga ombela ga so wombore ala ko may bori no masigade yare kianare.
Je suis forestière.
Je suis de la Basse-Côte.
Je suis de la Moyenne Guinée.
Je suis de la Haute Guinée.
Je suis guinéenne.
Je suis guinéen.
Nous sommes Guinéens et la Guinée est une famille.
Jade, you're muted.
Apologies. Okay, I forgot. So the next video was for Manene Cultural Trust from Kenya. It's called Raising Grandmothers' Voices of Wisdom. It's aimed at raising the less heard voices of Maasai grandmothers at Old Marori village at the foot of Ngong Hills in Kajiado County in Kenya, to share the much needed values, life skills, and wisdom to the younger generation. The elderly marginalized Maasai women are the target group, with the Maasai girls aged 9 to 18 years being the primary beneficiaries of the project. The project seeks to foster healthy intergenerational dialogue to solve societal pressing issues.
This project, Raising the Voices of Grandmothers, is at the center of family life.
Raising Grandmothers' Voices of Wisdom is a project where it was amplifying voices of Maasai grandmothers in Marori village, the voices which have been neglected for long, and this has been really helpful to those the beneficiaries who are young girls from Ngong Hills and even Marori village.
Family plays a central factor to child development. Family, as any other social contract, is fundamental in every child's life. The existing structures empowers uncles, aunts, nephews, nieces, and grandparents to influence our world and make our worldview blossom. In traditional Maasai society, grandmothers were responsible for teaching girls life skills, ethics, community history, and societal values, among others. My grandmother's house was the first school I can remember. Legacies of colonialism, with rooted mindset on Western system of education, foreign religion, and modernism, brought a disconnect in our cultural heritage and values system. Our grandmothers have been set aside as old school, retired with little knowledge of modern life. This project promoted intergenerational dialogue among grandmothers and granddaughters. We hosted 7 community meetings, which provided a safe space for girls and their grandmothers to interact, learn, and most importantly, grandmothers found a safe space that amplified their voices of wisdom. Grandmothers seamlessly provide emotional and social support to their granddaughters. This kind of ability enables them to give counsel to their granddaughters while teaching life skills. Dialogue is at the center of finding solutions to the problems facing our families. Our circles of dialogue promoted question and answer sessions.
Mimi niko na mtu napenda. Alafu wazazi wanataka kunipeana. Siwezi kubaliwa nilete huyo.
Hapana. Huyo ni wewe unamjua peke yako. Baba yako si umepashwa tohara. Sasa imefika ni wakati wa kupeanwa. Baba yako ako na rafiki yake pengine ako tuseme ako Uweso. Atatoka yeye mwenyewe ama atumane maana kuko na simu. Akipata mtu sana anaenda huko mwambie fulani akuje msichana sasa akuja achukue yule msichana nilimwambia. Anakuja na wanakuja wanaongea na analeta mahali na unaolewa unaambiwa huyu ndio bwana yako na kupeana kwa huyu. Umewahi muona? Hapana. Huyu ndio nimekupatia na sijui mwingine utaenda kujuania mbele.
Among the Mak community, respect is the fabrics that holds the kinship together. This is a value that children are taught when they are young and is normalized and expressed in greetings. Modernism has done so little to make this fade away. This platform provides an equal chance for the grandmothers to learn new dance styles from their granddaughters. Grandmothers raise their voices of wisdom by affirming their role and the status in the families. Their homes remain to be the most interactive schools we have ever attended. As quoted by our great-grandmother, "Here is to the strong women. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise them."
Am I muted again? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. So the next video is by Human Rights Media Center in South Africa, and it tells the story of Sisigo House. It follows the plight of a multi-ethnic group of homeless people who occupied Woodstock Hospital in Cape Town in March 2017, and now are about 900 people strong. In consultation with the Sisigo House Committee, the Human Rights Media Center made a short video with occupants to give their narratives visibility and create empathy. The city of Cape Town has used brutal force to evict occupants, but a recent Cape Town High Court ruling gave occupants until August 2021 to come up with a spreadsheet with affidavits of occupants who must remain united to overcome the risk of eviction.
There shall be houses, security and comfort for all, a clause in the Freedom Charter that guided our struggle against the racist apartheid regime. Since 1994, the democratically elected government has failed to fulfill its promise to build adequate social housing for the poor. This short film focuses on the occupation of the old Woodstock Hospital in Cape Town, known as Sissi Gool House, home to almost 1,000 people. The occupants of Sissi Gool House are engaged in a co-design process for the space and how it can best serve their needs.
I am Bevel Lucas. I'm an elected house leader here at Sissi Gool House, and I live in a section called Darling Gardens.
My name is Andrea Couver. I come originally from Italy, but now I live in South Africa at least 18 years. I live in Woodstock, that is this neighborhood, and I'm part of the Resident Association of Woodstock.
Reclaim the City advertised a public meeting at a space called Community House in Salt River Road. It's the name that attracted me, Reclaim the City. It's something that I could identify with, and it's something that we always had aspirations for.
I decided personally to be involved after we had a discussion in the Resident Association. We decided for many years ago to participate with the activity and try to make the situation better. Is obvious complicated situation because there is a tension between the residents inside of Sissi Gool and the people that live around, because obviously when you have a space where there is around 900 people living, that are people living here that are part of the South African society. So inside of the occupation, you have everything that you found inside of the South African society. So you have the good and the bad, the good guy and the bad guy. But the question is how we improve the situation and make it, because if we think that if the living situation of the people in Sissi Gool House become better, also the situation around become better.
We considered some architects that had worked previously with communities, and so we came across Malcolm Campbell, who was active in the Princess Flay development and had worked with the community there.
As an architect and urban designer, I've got considerable experience in affordable housing. But then, as I say, as a community activist, I have been supporting communities in their struggles, particularly with assisting them on unpacking the spatial aspects of their environments. A lot of the housing developments are on sites where there are no communities, right? The communities come afterwards. So the designers really have a kind of a blank slate on which to work. This is a very different case. There's a very strong community. They've lived together for a number of years. They have a very good understanding of the building and of its surroundings. And at the organizational level, they've already developed ways in which they can cooperate and organize and manage the facility. And they managed to do so quite successfully. What we see there is not anarchy, right? It's a highly organized, highly disciplined initiative. And if the city supports it in the appropriate manner, it could become a model.
We had a draft constitution that was adopted, and we then had set out a roadmap to formalize the movement to elect chapter leaders, to elect house leaders, and to begin to formalize house meetings, chapter meetings, advice assemblies, and it then became a way of life within the movement to have structured meetings, to have constitutional meetings, to have leadership meetings, and you have meetings and meetings.
So look, I've been fortunate enough that I've designed a hospital, the first hospital they built in the Western Cape in 30 odd years. And the nice thing about Woodstock Hospital, which Sissy Goalhouse was known as before, is that it can very, very easily, with very little cost, be converted into affordable residential accommodation.
We are in quite a historical moment to me. Positive or negative, can be a historical moment to be negative. But we are in a historical moment to change, because can be a very interesting social housing project involving communities and rethinking the way that social housing is made, rethinking a lot of stuff. Because if you see the legislation in South Africa is very working in boxes, you need to follow in some boxes, but the life is not following in boxes. So, and also there is a possibility to build in something where the people are able in some way to build in self-organization, sustainable self-organization.
I think the important thing in these kind of initiatives is that these communities are well supported by professionals. And I think in many instances, particularly on the legal side, right, and this has been the case in Sissy Goalhouse, I add an additional layer of support, and that is at the technical level in terms of spatial understanding of housing policy, and the instruments that are used to implement housing policy.
And hopefully what we deliver here will be reflective of people's dignity and of respect to people to be able to live in a decent house for all.
We call our passage Hopelantern. Hopelantern is right here behind us. Here's my kitchen. This is my kitchen. And my balcony. Come look at my balcony. I've got my mop washing. You see, I've got no problem hanging washing up. Yes, come and show you my bedroom. Now, all I would love for them to do for me is make a hole through here. I'll take you to my room now. If I put an arch here, I can go straight into my room. That's what I would like for me. Oh, I didn't even make my bed up for this meeting. Sorry. You see, if they can make an arch for me. Oh, I love my room. Wow. I love my space. I don't want to move. I don't even want the house. I want to stay here. In my heart, I want to stay here. I don't even want to move out.
Okay, so that was the last video, and thank you everyone for watching with us. So we actually have very little time for Q&A. So let's spare 10 minutes, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen. This is just to say that we will share the videos. We're going to upload the final videos to the page for the Reckoning with Systemic Racism workshop. So if you go into the coalition's page on this address, you will find the videos. So I'm going to stop sharing screen. And I'm going to do a speaker view. Sorry. So let me. So I would like to open the floor for questions or comments, or anyone would like to say something. Well, let's see. Any questions from our viewers? So, because if we don't have questions from the floor, I would just like to ask all of you who did the films, how do you feel about the experience? And some of you have been actually advertising and sharing the videos already on social media. How do you see this medium and the experience of making these videos? Have you seen any impact? What is your experience of making it, and what do you expect in terms of impact? And we have a very short window for comments, but I would like to hear from anyone who participated. Shirley, your hand is up. You're muted.
Sorry.
Yeah.
May I? Unfortunately, on this platform, the quality is not good. And so I think everyone must understand that there was a reduced quality in this viewing today, which for all the hard work was a little bit upsetting, actually. I don't know if there could have been a better platform on which to show videos, but it was compromised by the Zoom, this platform. But I'd like to say that, you know, when you work with people, it takes time to build trust and to get into the flow of important dialogue work. But right now, the people themselves want to have a screening. So that's the next step, to show this little video inside CC Ghoul and to have comments there. And that is, you know, this is what is done, making this film, and Harun can talk more about this, but it's really, I think, is a teaser for something that's much more deep and goes beyond 9 minutes. So I think, thank you for the opportunity. We've got something, a feature in mind now.
Okay, fantastic. Sounds great. Now, and I love your point. I mean, obviously, if you touch first the community, that's your starting point and the most important reason why you're doing this. So it's very good. And apologies for the technical. I mean, we don't know. We're learning also as we go. So we hope at least everybody could get a sense of all the projects. And as I said, it's going to be available in our website, so people will be able to see in full quality. Abdulela, would you like to speak? Go aheed.
Good evening, everybody. I think this is considered to be one of the best mechanisms to express the interest in human rights and addressing human rights violations. So I believe using media and working on videos can play a very important role to convey our messages to those who we target in our projects. This is one of the most important means and mechanisms that are used by different organizations, human rights organizations, to convey their ideas and to share their projects and their goals. Now, based on the videos that we saw today, unfortunately, sometimes the quality of the videos was not good enough to understand what was going on. The first video, I think, was a very good a video with a good, clear message. And talking about the absence of actors that really pay attention to this or maybe sponsor these problems. And also, in many communities are suffering from these problems where there are no official or formal actors that support them, fund them, especially with regard to girls who suffer from. Unfortunately, the speaker's voice is cutting off. I'm trying to grasp the gist of what he's trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's it properly. Yeah. Thank you. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Abdulela. Thank you. Jean Zezé, do you wanna speak? Jean Zezé?
Jean Zezé?
Jean-Zé, you have your hands raised. You can go ahead and speak.
Jean-Zé, vous avez la main levée.
Yeah.
May I please? It is regarding the experience that we went through during the project when we were making the video. I would say that this is the second experience because I'm working with the media. And it is a very important experience which I acquired during the process of developing the video. Now, in terms of specifications, we have understood that making a video, a short video, and especially one that is targeting a fundamental community is not easy. You agree with me that we took 2 full days here, but we didn't rehearse with young people. It is after the invitation of a victim of ethnocentrism who was looking for work that we drew inspiration in order to conceive this video. And further, you would understand that the impact of the video, we were really touched because so many people agreed with us. Many young people came to meet us after watching the video on the website, on social media, on our website, even on YouTube. They came to meet us and they told us that you are doing a great work and our country needs people like you because memory is very important and people are destroying memories. And further, in our community in Guinea, people are underrating young girls, saying that they are unable to talk or to have an impact on the society. So these issues of stereotypes, especially when it comes to young people. So we drew inspiration from that, and we said we will take actors in order to be able to say no to stigma and discrimination, which is very negative. So I believe that it's a very good job, and we're asking the coalition to multiply these activities in order to impact so many people and change their mindset. Thank you so much to all.
Thank you, Jean-Zé. We would love to do that. And it's nice to hear from you, exactly to learn how things go, and so we can look for more funds and more possibilities to do that. Mohammed, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. Our experience probably not very dissimilar to some of the experiences that our colleagues might have experienced. But one thing that we want to share was once we got into the field and started interacting with the persons identified to participate in the video, we found a desire to speak out, an outpouring, and we had to let it flow.
Sorry, Mohammed, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I was saying
sorry
that
about
as part of this exercise, once we got into the field and started interacting with the participants in the video, we found an outpouring in terms of experience. So there's a lot of material that we had to leave out, and yet we feel, of course, it is important. So probably this is information that maybe we'll be using again in other products that are linked to this experience. But the other is our interaction with the persons identified actually also led to possible partners in terms of the next level of engagement, especially when it comes to dialogues. For example, we're able to speak to Uganda Human Rights Commission, we're able to speak to Uganda Police Force, and the local NGOs and the Asian associations. So basically then these would feed into the next level of engagement. Yeah, so not everybody is in the documentary, but we were able to reach out and engage different people. So that was another issue: who to live in and who to live out, but maintain the core of the story. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sounds like a good problem. You had a lot of people wanting to participate and collect a lot of stories, so there is more material. And now, I mean, you've done one, so you can do the next ones with a bit more ease. So this is also exciting that people got interested in participating. Okay, I'm going to try to move towards closing this part of the meeting, and then the participants of the meeting will stay with me, but we will close the meeting that's open to members down shortly, because we have a limit of time with our translators. So anybody else would like to have any questions or comments? All right, so Shelley?
You know, I want to just, it's a subtle point I want to raise, and that is that, you know, there's deep discrimination in our country still. And the negative stereotypes of people who would move into a hospital are quite extreme. And we thought we wouldn't go there. We don't want to actually broadcast and repeat the kind of negative attitudes that people have, but rather just show the positive story. And for that reason, I feel it's a methodology that I want to pursue as well, to tell the positive story, to get away from that negative stuff, which brings one down.
Is the stories of overcoming that are really exciting and inspiring.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So on that note, I think it's a fabulous note to close the overall meeting. I want to thank everybody who came as participants, and I'm going to ask, I want to thank our translators very much. Apologies for the slight going over. So I think we can all, the participant members can stay in the call, and thank you very much for everybody else. I'm just gonna, let's give it 5 minutes so everybody can take a little break and stretch their legs, and shall we meet here 20 minutes past the hour, the participants of the project. Okay. So see you all shortly in 5 minutes.